$1.2 trillion. This amount represents Canada's national debt. That's a lot, right? But what if I tell you that it will only increase in the coming years? Welcome to Canada 24 Press. Together, we'll unpack the complexities of Canada's economy, exploring its strengths, weaknesses, and the path forward. So, grab a seat and let's make sense of it all. Canada, the 10th largest economy in the world, stands out for its resilience. With abundant natural resources like oil, gas, timber, and minerals, and a highly regarded banking system, it has weathered global crises better than most. Our banking system, regulated by the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, OSFI, and shaped by the prudent policies of the Bank of Canada, is one of the strongest globally. It's dominated by the Big Six banks, RBC, TD, Scotiabank, BMO, CIBC, and National Bank, which are celebrated for conservative lending practices and diversified revenue streams. The 2008 financial crisis didn't dent this system, as it required no bailouts, a testament to its robust risk management. Inflation measures the rate at which the general price level of goods and services rises, eroding purchasing power. While global inflation has eased, Canadians continue grappling with higher living costs. Essentials like food, housing, and gas have seen significant price hikes. Recent data revealed that grocery prices alone have increased by 6.8% in 2024, far outpacing wage growth. Why is inflation so stubborn? Experts point to supply chain disruptions, higher global commodity prices, and Canada's carbon tax. Critics argue that this tax disproportionately burdens everyday Canadians, especially lower-income households. While the government promises relief measures, including one-time rebates, many wonder whether these efforts will sufficiently ease financial pressures. Canada's housing crisis continues to dominate headlines. Vancouver and Toronto rank among the least affordable cities globally, but they're no longer alone. Mid-sized cities like Halifax and Kelowna have also reported double-digit price increases this year. The drivers? A mix of low housing supply, surging demand, and speculative investments. The government's $4 billion Housing Accelerator Fund aims to increase supply, yet critics question its impact, calling it too little, too late. Without addressing root causes like zoning laws and construction costs, housing affordability may remain out of reach for many. Alberta, the economic engine of Canada, heavily relies on its oil and gas sector. However, federal policies like the carbon tax and pipeline delays have drawn criticism. The Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers projects over 30,000 job losses in Alberta's oil sector by the year's end, leaving communities anxious about their futures. Despite these challenges, Alberta contributes significantly to the federal Equalization Program, which redistributes wealth among provinces. Critics argue that this system unfairly penalizes Alberta while benefiting provinces like Quebec. Proponents of reform suggest that all provinces should ramp up their economic contributions, creating a more balanced and competitive national economy. Simultaneously, the push for greener energy investments grows louder. While renewable energy offers long-term benefits, the transition needs to consider the economic realities of oil-dependent regions like Alberta. Canada sends 75% of its exports to the US, making it vulnerable to policy shifts south of the border. Former President Trump's tariff threats underscored the need for diversification. The Fall Economic Statement of December 2024 emphasizes addressing geopolitical risks by strengthening trade ties with trusted partners. But while the government promises a Team Canada approach, critics see a trend of appeasing U.S. interests rather than exploring robust alternatives in Asia, where the global economy is increasingly shifting. Canada boasts low unemployment rates, yet sectors like healthcare and tech face acute labor shortages. The country welcomes over 500,000 immigrants annually to address these gaps, but challenges remain. Temporary foreign workers, often in low-wage positions, highlight discrepancies in labor policies. A recent report revealed significant wage gaps, with temporary workers earning 30% less on average than Canadian counterparts in similar roles. The tech sector's woes are another challenge. Canadian startups frequently relocate to the US for better funding, draining talent and innovation. Many businesses in Canada have also been acquired by US firms, further exacerbating the issue. Addressing this brain drain requires improved funding opportunities, tax incentives, and support for local innovation. Canada's debt crisis is deepening. The Fall Economic Statement revealed a deficit of $61.9 billion, 50% higher than initial projections. Pandemic relief measures and infrastructure investments have ballooned national debt, raising concerns about fiscal sustainability. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, who recently resigned amid growing tensions, introduced spending cuts. However, critics warn these cuts could jeopardize essential services. As debt servicing costs rise, the government faces tough decisions. How to reduce the deficit while protecting Canadians' welfare. Furthermore, Canada's national debt now exceeds $1.2 trillion, marking a staggering increase of over $120 billion in just 1 year. This sharp rise has raised serious concerns about the country's fiscal sustainability. Why is Canada's debt so high? Let's break it down. First, pandemic spending played a major role. Programs like CERB and wage subsidies provided much-needed relief to Canadians during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, these measures came at a significant cost, collectively adding hundreds of billions to the debt. Next, infrastructure investments were intended to stimulate economic recovery, but have faced issues. Many large-scale projects have been criticized for delays, cost overruns, and a lack of measurable returns. While they're essential for long-term growth, the short-term financial strain is undeniable. Then, there's interest on debt. Rising interest rates mean Canada is paying more to service its debt. In 2024, interest payments alone accounted for nearly 10% of federal expenditures. This reduces the funds available for healthcare, education, and other essential services. Finally, limited revenue growth has added to the problem. Canada heavily relies on exporting natural resources like oil and gas, but global market volatility has constrained growth. Unlike other nations, Canada's tax base remains narrow, further complicating efforts to balance the books. Now, let's address a common question. How can Canada have such a high debt level with relatively low military spending? Unlike countries like the US, which allocates large portions of its budget to global military operations, Canada spends just 1.4% of its GDP on defense, far below NATO's recommended 2%. Instead, inefficiencies elsewhere contribute to this debt. One issue is public sector expansion. The size of the federal workforce and rising public sector pensions are becoming unsustainable. Another is the heavy investment in climate initiatives, which, while necessary, often lack immediate returns. Lastly, provincial equalization payments redistribute wealth among provinces, but critics argue this approach fails to incentivize economic growth in recipient regions. Even as former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland introduced spending cuts before her resignation, these reductions risk harming essential services like healthcare and infrastructure. Balancing debt reduction with protecting Canadian welfare remains a significant challenge. So, how can Canada address its debt crisis? Experts suggest a few paths forward. Increasing revenue through tax reforms, targeting high-income earners and multinational corporations could provide relief. Streamlining government spending by reducing inefficiencies and overlapping programs could also save billions annually. Lastly, revamping the energy sector to balance green initiatives with resource exploitation could unlock untapped potential. Canada's debt situation is a wake-up call. Addressing it requires bold leadership and a balanced approach to ensure fiscal sustainability without sacrificing the well-being of Canadians. As we conclude, we turn the conversation to you. What do you think of Canada's economic direction? Can we navigate these crises successfully, or do we risk falling behind? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, remember to like, share, and subscribe. At Canada 24 Press, we're committed to delivering in-depth analysis on critical issues shaping our world. Let's stay informed and engaged. Love ya.